Hello Tokusatsu community and welcome back to my SODO Sunday series here on the Toku Toy Store YouTube channel. This is the series where I cover all of the latest SODO, SHODO, and YUDO line figure news from Japan. Sorry it's been a little while, it's been a pretty crazy month here, trying to get videos out and everything, and so we're a little bit behind. So we're going to kind of go through some of the more older stuff quickly before we kind of get to the more newer stuff. So let's go and start with Kamen Rider Revice. So first up, a couple of weeks ago, we got the rest of SODO Buy Five for Kamen Rider Revice, which has some Saber stuff in it, of course, because why not? The newest Saber Visa Next did just release on Japanese Blu-rays, or I think at least in theaters and everything. I think the Blu-ray is still a little bit of a ways away, the one that's actually going to have the Wonder Eye books packed with it. So before we get to those, let's quickly go over the Revice news that we had for that blog entry, which was towards the end of January. And this was the one that revealed Kamen Rider Genie finally coming to the SODO line. So it's great to finally get her here so you can complete the whole, quartet of riders, or at least the trio of Igarashi siblings, if you'd like to get at least them. And she looks great. I mean, there's of course a lot of sticker detailing on here. There's a good amount of paint detailing as well. And you pretty much get everything you'd want from Kamen Rider Genie, because you also are going to be getting Love Cove. They are going to be making a SODO Love Cove figure, which is really nice. It will go great with the Vice that they're going to be releasing, or that is coming out soon, that doesn't have his legs, the kind of demon Vice and not the rider version of Vice, so it will go great with that. So Love Cove is going to be a really fun addition here, and she's kind of split in boxes alongside some of the other stuff we knew we were getting in the set, like the skateboard version of Vice in his Jackal genome, or Bard Rex, the shield for Vice that he gets in that form before he actually gets Bard Rex, that kind of thing. So that's kind of how Love Cove is going to be divided up here. And to go with that, and of course also to go with Kamen Rider Genie, is going to be the Kujaku genome, which is when Love Cove becomes the two fans for Genie to hold, which is really cool that they're going to be doing that. It's just a very simple hand swap, but it does have stickers on both sides of it, so it turned out really nice. No word on the Turtle Bazooka that Love Cove can also turn into, but I'm sure SODO's going to give it to us eventually, alongside Demons' different genomes that we don't have. I'm sure those are things that we're going to get, we just do not have them yet. Now moving over to the Saber stuff that was from that blog entry, we have the two newest forms from the Kamen Rider Visa Next film for Kamen Rider Saber, and this is going to be Kamen Rider Falchion in his amazing Siren form, which they have compared to his original form, and basically it's just an exact repaint of it. There's really no new molding that had to be done on this one at all. There was really only some sticker detailing that had to be different, and paint detailing, especially even on the belt. They only had to make a new sticker to have the new book and everything there, so it was nothing too crazy there. It turned out exactly the way that you would think it would, because it was a very easy thing for them to make. And same thing for the other form from that Visa Next, which was the new form for Kamen Rider Espada, Arabian Nights, Rabarana Nights, or something like that. It was a little bit of a different title. But you do get this one here, which is basically more or less a kind of repaint / slight remold. This one actually does have some remolding to it from the Primitive Dragon figure that came out last year. So pretty much the only new pieces are the belt buckle, because there's a big brand new book in there. This sword has the different emblem on it, and then of course Espada's helmet. But for the most part, it is just a repaint, restickering, I suppose, of Saber in his Primitive Dragon form. And that is the full lineup of Kamen Rider Revice Buy 5, which is releasing at the end of this month, so in about a week or so in Japan, to, be the next set out for the Revice line. But that brings us right over to Buy 6, as we already have a couple of SODO figures revealed for that one as well. First off, we are going to be getting Bard Rex for Kamen Rider Vice, his full-on Bard Rex form, which is going to be a second different way for you to get him in, or at least his shield that he gets for this form, because he does have it in his technical Bard Rex form and its full-on Bard Rex form, so you're going to be able to get it with both kind of releases of this figure. But of course, if we're going to get Bard Rex Vice, that means we have to get Volcano Revive, so that of course is also going to be included in SODO Buy 6 along with this Vice figure, so you can get the trio, or the duo I suppose, I don't know why I said trio, but duo of the two more recent forms from the show. As we kind of know at this point, these two forms are kind of even not as prominent, or not even the biggest upgrade that is in the show right now. That would be Jack Revice, which is not here yet, but I'm not surprised because it just debuted in the show. So for, the most part, these are the most recent, biggest power-up forms for them to do. And they look fantastic. There, of course, there's a lot of stickers on them, especially on Bard Rex Revive, or Bard Rex Vice. That's kind of get confusing because they both have Bard Rex, but Bard Rex Vice's chest emblem, having that sticker and everything, is not the greatest. And of course, there's a lot of sticker detailing and all the different design patterns on Kamen Rider Revive's Volcano form, but I think for the most part, it turns out pretty well. And then they showed off the next thing from SODO Buy 6 to be the flying Terra Genome for Kamen Rider Revice, the full-on hover bike, the actual like rider machine for this series, which will go great with the Terra Genome of Revice. So they are finally going to be giving us this, which looks great. I mean, it's a big piece. It has to be this big hover bike for a SODO scaled figure, which is still going to be a pretty impressive plastic piece. And of course, Buy 6 is going to throw in a bunch of other little random stuff that you probably didn't even know that you would want, like an empty Revice driver that doesn't have any stamps in it, or a stamp holding hand, and you're going to have a bunch of different option stickers for stuff like that, like they do for a lot of things. I mean, we get this all the time now. You can recreate basically an entire transformation sequence using a bunch of different hands and belts and stuff in the SODO line, which is really, really cool. But you know, you just have to build up over time and then pick what sticker you want to use and everything. But this is perfect stuff for like stop motion things, or just random cool display poses you want to do, or whatever. It adds a lot of playability to be able to recreate stuff from the show or make your own adventures. It's really cool. So next up we have the announcement of a brand new SHODO subline, SHODO XX or XX. This is going to be kind of replacing the SHODO sets that we're getting now. Those are going to come to an end here pretty soon. The SHODO Versus sets are going to be coming, or SHODO X sets are going to be coming to an end, because now we're coming to SHODO XX. So this is going to be a brand new line of much more improved SHODO figures, which have already been pretty solid over the years, but they are just going to make a brand new line again to be able to re-release some riders again. So this first lineup is going to kind of have variations of 3 different riders. So you're going to get Kamen Rider Black in this, and this is kind of the figure that they use to show off the differences between the different types of SHODO figures, since Kamen Rider Black was in SHODO Versus, SHODO X, SHODO XX, all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of see the evolution that the SHODO line has gone through the years. And while I personally think it's just kind of minor differences, I definitely do see where the differences are, and it's really cool to get this figure out on the market again if you never got it from the older SHODO lines, and of course being the most improved version. But to go with Kamen Rider Black, they are also going to be releasing Kamen Rider Black RX, which looks fantastic as well. Makes sense to get Black and Black RX together, and these are going to be our only Showa releases in this subline. There's a Showa and a Heisei and a Reiwa era kind of representative for all of these. And for Kuga is going to be the one for the Heisei era, which I should have worded that the other way around. For Heisei, it's going to be Kuga. So we're going to be getting Rising Form, which makes perfect sense, or Mighty Form and Rising Mighty Form. So you're going to get both of those because they are just basically repaints of each other. I know Rising Mighty kind of sort of has like a tiny bit of remolding, I think, in some areas, but it's mainly just a gold repaints of certain, you know, accent areas on Kuga's Rising or regular Mighty Form for Rising Mighty. Kind of surprised we're not getting Amazing Mighty with this, because they usually go that route as well, since that's just basically another little repaint. But they are doing both of these, and they're very similar forms. Obviously, there's not much to be, to say about them. We just got them very recently with SHODO Chronicle or SHODO Chronicle Kuga, and here they are once again. And then making its kind of candy toy return for the first time since its SODO line wrapped up is Kamen Rider 01 in Rising Hopper form, which looks really good. I never really thought that the helmet on Rising Hopper looked all too particularly good in the original SODO version, but I think here on this new SHODO XX version, they've really captured it, and I think it really does look really nice. And to go with this one kind of being the corresponding one, he doesn't really have as much of a cool like repaint that they could just do very simply or anything like that. And while I'm surprised they're not going with Kamen Rider 02, they're actually going to be going with Kamen Rider 01 in his Metal Cluster Hopper form, which is really cool because this is one of my favorite forms from 01. It might even be it is probably my favorite 01 related form, or like for him, to default. And what's really cool is you get some really neat effect pieces with him that create kind of recreate that sort of metal, the kind of nanobot technology hits, that kind of, I don't really know how to describe them, but like they replicate that kind of effect and attack from the show, which is really, really sweet. We've never had that on like the SODO version or anything, but it is definitely something that makes me think of Metal Cluster Hopper with just his different sword attacks and hit attacks and everything. It's a perfect addition for this figure. So this line is pretty neat. I'm definitely interested to see where it's going to go. It's just kind of interesting that this is the new evolution of SHODO, bringing back figures that we've already had before in other lines for yet another go. And finally, we come back to the Donbrothers YUDO set, as we have now been able to see the entire lineup of it, and it's pretty interesting actually. There's going to be 2 boxes in particular that will go nice pretty well with the Change Hero series figure lines of figures for Donbrothers. But what's going to be happening here is we are going to be getting 10 boxes in our first YUDO set, which will be coming out this May, so a couple months into the show. And for the most part, it's just replications or duplications of what we're going to be getting in the regular Change Hero series figure line, with some changes, of course. So for the majority of the Donbrothers team, they're going to be split across 2 different boxes each. So very much like a SODO figure, and very not much like a typical YUDO figure is. Usually YUDO is not split apart. So it's very interesting to see that be the case that they're going with here. So Danmo Wataru is going to be split apart, Saru Brother is going to be split apart, Oni's sister is going to be split apart, and Kiji Brother is going to be split apart, especially with how big Kiji Brother is. There's no surprise that that's happening. So all of them are pretty, explanatory. You can see it on kind of the chart or the breakdown here. But what really becomes interesting is when you get to the last 2 boxes of the set. So box 9 is going to have the entirety of Inu Brother, which makes sense because he's definitely the tiny little chibi ranger. You can throw them in there. But this is going to be the box that you're going to want to get if you're collecting the Change Hero series line, because you're going to get 5 Dawn Blasters in here. You're going to get Danmo Wataru's sword. You're going to get a bunch of different hand pieces and everything that you're not going to get with Change Hero that will be compatible with Change Hero. And for the most part, it's weird to kind of recommend. I think the best way to go is to get Change Hero for the paint, and then get this box 9 to get an actually better articulated Inu Brother compared to pictures we've seen with the Change Hero, and of course all these accessories that can work interchangeably between both lines. The only thing you're really going to be missing out on is YUDO does not have the other weapons for Inu Brother and also for Oni's sister. Their weapons are not included here. We do get them with the Change Hero. And also Kiji Brother has the giant wings, or the different optional effect pieces or different wing options that is not present on the Change Hero release. So there's kind of, some have better ones, some don't. It's kind of a confusing thing. And then finally, we're going to be getting Zenkaiser Black, which I think this one is a definite increase, or actually improvement, over the Change Hero series figure for a lot of different reasons. Because first of all, it actually has the proper belt color it's supposed to have. It also has the proper black cape piece color it's supposed to have that the Change Hero does not have. He also comes with swappable hands as an entire figure in one box, and also comes with a gear cleaner with a nice sticker detailing on it and everything, and molded in red plastic, which the Change Hero Series 1 does not. So, while the Change Hero Series 1 is going to be painted on the figure, and this one you're going to have to put stickers on it, I think Zenkaiser Black actually turned out a lot better in YUDO than it did in Change Hero. So I think that that's definitely the way to go. If you're going to collect pretty much strictly Change Hero, I would still recommend getting boxes 9 and 10 of the YUDO to kind of get a full experience. Alright guys, and that's going to do it for this week's episode of SODO Sundays. Sorry I was gone for so long. I will try not to let that happen again here in this final season. Try to finish off strong. But yeah, until next time, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at LiveRangeKey or at LightningTwigPR. You can check out a bunch of other Tokusatsu related content from me here on YouTube at Toku Topics, and of course at Geek Each Week and SODO Pop. Alright, until next time, I'll see you all on SODO Sundays, and until then, Tokusatsu forever.